What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. It is the Sunday morning week in review, the weekly wrap up, and we got a lot of news to cover today. I honestly, there was a lot of just little news bits that probably could have been combined with something else to do a video on, but then there was Spider-Man Metal Nonsense. So this is a lot of busy week, so there just wasn't time to kind of do some of the stuff that maybe could have been a full video. So we're gonna lump it all into one, and that's kind of the purpose of this, is to hit on anything that I may or may not have missed. So like, comment, subscribe, and let's go ahead and get in. A couple things off the top here. One, I will be at the Shipshewana card show tonight for trade night and tomorrow for the show itself. So if you're in the area, make sure you come on out. As you are watching or listening to this, I am probably making the trek across a cornfield somewhere in Ohio or Indiana to head to that show. So hope to see you all out there. If you're going, drop your name in the comments down below, and please say hello if you see me roaming around the show and or the trade night tonight or tomorrow. Second thing, something I kind of want to run by you guys and girls. I am considering, and I think I might try it out this week and just see how it goes. I'm considering doing a non-sports card version of this video. So essentially what it would look like is non-sports cards. So probably essentially the focus of it would be Marvel cards primarily, comic books, touch on them here and there, a couple key things, news stuff, big sales, price changes, shenanigans like that. Some sealed wax stuff in regards to Marvel product, maybe dip my toe into some Magic the Gathering sealed stuff here and there, because I've been kind of toying around with that, and kind of anything else that fits into the non-sports stuff. If something pops up, like Zero Cool Stranger Things stuff gets announced, all that nonsense, I'm thinking about doing a weekly market / news video. Just basically imagine this video, but it's a mix of non-sports cards and comics, essentially. Would be what it would be about. So I'm considering rolling that out. Don't know the day of the week. Whatever I end up doing, I want to be consistent on it. I'm thinking maybe Tuesday or Wednesdays, with a lean towards Wednesday, but I'm not 100% sure yet. We'll kind of see how it filters out. I think I'm going to do the first one this week, and I think it'll probably be up Wednesday. I'll probably record it Monday or Tuesday this week, with me being out of town. So that's kind of where my headspace is with that. Curious for your thoughts and feedback down below. Maybe something you would like to see in that sort of video, and we'll give it a whirl for a little bit. I used to do Marvel Mondays way back in the day. This would be a little different than that, because Marvel Mondays was mostly comic book focused. This would be a more mixed, general, broad-based, non-sports cards and comics mixed together with, like I said, maybe just a touch of TCG. And if it would be TCG, it would probably just be Magic. I don't know anything about Pokemon. So curious for your thoughts and comments about that one. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. We got a ton of new stuff, just a very tad little tiny bit of market movers this week. But let's go ahead and dive into the news. The big first thing that happened is the National came out and announced their show locations for the next 3 years. Now, we already knew about Chicago in 2023, as I noted, I think in last week's episode. I have locked my hotel in for that already. A couple of the hotels have not opened rooms yet, so they're still blocked off. I don't know when or if they will. I assume that they will. They probably just haven't yet. The ones that are open, rooms are moving fast. I've had a couple people reach out to me that said they had actually trouble finding hotels that had rooms open, because a lot of them had them blocked off already. I booked the Crown Plaza. I can't speak for the other hotels in the area. I have not stayed there. I stayed at the Crown Plaza at the previous National in Chicago. I know Dustin, Sports Card Dad, stayed there as well. We were in the same hotel. I can't speak for him. I had no issues. It was perfectly fine. It's directly across the street. It's right next to the Lowe's Hotel. It was a great location. No trouble. So I went ahead and locked that in just to be done. I got a room that's cancelable, so I can cancel it up to like 3 days before the event if something happens, and that is just in and out of the way. And I see a lot of chatter about, especially when this got announced, about, oh my God, I'm never going to Chicago, murder capital of the world, this, that, and the other thing. Guys, girls, the convention itself is nowhere near downtown Chicago. It's right across the street from the airport, basically. It's in Rosemont. It is perfectly fine. around the convention center. It is 1,000 times better than Atlantic City in regards to a safety standpoint. It is perfectly fine. I felt no issues walking around from, multiple blocks from the far end of the convention center all the way down to the lows, depending on where, trade nights were going on and events and this, that, and the other thing. No problem at all. Great location. It's probably, the venue itself is a little meh because it's laid out a little weird. It's a little darker in there, a little hotter in there. But from us, everyone's situated around the show. It's the best location by far, at least of the ones that I've been to. They also announced after that it will go back to, we're coming home, baby, Cleveland, Ohio at the IX Center. I will be 45 minutes away from the National every single day, and that is grand. We'll talk about that in a second. And then back to Chicago, and then into the great unknown we go. I see a lot of clamor for a West Coast National. I personally think after Chicago, I'm going to guess we get a new city. It won't be Chicago. It won't be Cleveland. It won't be Atlantic City. I have no inside information on that. It's just pure speculation on my part. Personally, I am rooting, if it's not going to be in Cleveland or Chicago, which for me are perfect locations, I'd actually like to see it in Nashville. I'm seeing a lot of Nashville buzz. I know the Sports Card Nonsense guys, because they're from, I believe, Tennessee, and a lot of other people are kind of preaching for Nashville. And I would like to see that. I've been to Nashville once before. Fantastic food city, great downtown. Would love to see it go to Nashville and see what that situation would play out like. Just for Hattie B's hot chicken alone, it'd be worth the trip. And so let's filter back and talk about the Cleveland National. So this is going to be at the IX Center, which I've been to a number of times, not for the National. The building is massive. Everyone says that location-wise, in terms of building and space, it's the best place for the National. And I can believe that because the IX Center is huge. The problem is, and this will be a little annoying from the social after hours aspect, there is nothing around the IX Center. It is right next to the airport, but all the hotels kind of suck. There's like the one airport hotel, which is perfectly fine. And then there's a bunch of like rinky-dink Hampton Inns, Holiday Inns, this, that, and the other thing. But they are all spread out. You're a good 20 to 25 minutes from downtown Cleveland at the Cleveland National. I think space-wise, it's going to be fantastic. I am curious how the after-hour stuff is going to play out, just because the hotel situation around there is not perfect. So everyone is going to be spread out, and like even more spread out than Atlantic City. So you have to Uber from place to place or whatever. I personally am probably just going to drive there every day. I don't think I will stay up there. If it was downtown, I would have got a hotel and stayed downtown because everyone would be close together. But since it's not, I think I'm going to want the freedom of a vehicle to bounce around to wherever I want to get to. And if I need to crash somewhere, I'll crash somewhere I know enough people. So that's kind of the national schedule for the next 3 years. Super excited for Cleveland. Very excited to be back in Chicago next year as well. And the Cleveland one, hey, you're about an hour away from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You could wrap that into this trip. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if that's your thing, is downtown, along with, if the Indians are playing at home. You could swing in and see them. The other thing that came up this week, Michael Ruben, CEO of Fanatics, was on with Colin Cowherd. Some very interesting comments, and I'm going to play the clip so you guys and girls can actually see and hear it. Very interesting comments made about redemptions and marketing. So essentially, Cowherd is asking him about, kind of where he sees things, things that surprised him when he moved into the sports card space. So I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick, and then we'll do some comments on it.
Or you buy it and 6 months later, you're like, wow.
% correct. One of the biggest complaints the hobby has is redemptions. If they can figure out a way to never have redemptions again, that's a massive win for all of us as collectors, investors, flippers, card fondlers, whatever you want to call us. That's a huge win for us if we can actually follow through with it. And that's the, this is a 30-minute interview. They talked about cards for just a few minutes. And that was one of the main things that he decided to focus on. I'm going to go ahead and take that as a positive sign. Now, we'll see what happens. Time will tell. I know that there's still redemptions in Topps products, but I believe Ruben and them have come out and said that, this current Topps cycle of products, they really had nothing to do with. I think it'll be next year or the year after that we really actually start to see Fanatics fingerprints on products beginning to come out. That's going to take some time to ramp up. And then, we'll obviously see what happens in the whole Panini situation if they end up acquiring them or what happens with that. But very interesting news on the redemption front. That would be absolutely fantastic. Like I said, if none of us ever have to deal with redemptions again, that would be great. And then the second part of that, the marketing aspect, is 100% correct. A lot of us have talked about this as one of the things that if you believe in the long-term health of the sports card realm, if you will, that marketing is going to be a key aspect of it. And it sounds like he understands that. And whether it's athletes doing box breaks or just talking about cards or actual physical commercials on the NBA Finals, whatever, or something else that they've got cooked up, any amount of marketing that they do is more than what they're doing now. And that'll at least bring some percentage of new people in. So, regardless of the short term ups and downs that we've had over the last year or so, long term, I still feel pretty okay. Cards have been around for a really long time. Guess what? They're going to be around for a really long time. And all we could do is take Fanatics at their word and see what happens, keep our eyes on them, and, reward them when they do good stuff. If they get rid of redemptions, great. And call them out when they don't. If redemptions are still around a couple years from now, we could point back to this and say, hey, you said this is something that you didn't want to deal with. What's up? So hopefully they're hearing that. Hopefully they're hearing, the stuff about, never player worn straight off the Dick's store shelves, or in this case, I guess, Lids or Fanatics team shop into the trading card that never even sniffed a player. Can we get back to at least player worn? Can we get back to game worn? Like, come on, guys. So hopefully they're hearing that too. Next up, into the grading news, CSG and CGC trading cards as a combo effect lowered bulk submission, not the rate, but the number of cards required. So in the past, it was 20 or 50 cards minimum to qualify for bulk. Now it's down to 25. I can tell you right now, for me, big win. Big win. Very excited to see this as someone that has a bunch of Marvel cards they would like to send into grade, and I really didn't want to get to 50 because I didn't want to spend that much on grading. So only having to get to 25, big W on that one. So I will actually be having a Marvel Cards CGC submission going out soon. I'm actually probably going to record that later today. And that video will go up sometime early next week. I was just waiting for Spider-Man Metal to get loaded into the system. So nice little move there out of them. Pricing is still the same, $15 for with no subgrades. To me, the big issue is, and I'll probably talk about this when I do the video, the $15 subgrade charge is rough on a $15 bulk order. You're talking about $30 per card. That's going to be a no-go for me on most cards, but it'll probably come down to card specifics on whether or not I want subgrades on there. For most bulk stuff, probably not, which, to be honest, is a little disappointing. I wish that subgrade feed was a lot less. $15 for subgrades on a $15 submission seems awfully expensive, both on CGC and CSG side of things for the sports cards and the TCG side of things. Another fun one here. Leaf v PSA. You probably have already seen this. It's kind of made the rounds. Leaf has some Pele sticker autos in a new product. PSA was basically treating them as non-authentic. This guy, or TPG Cards, tweeted, at Leaf. Brian Gray essentially said, nope, these are good. PSA is out of their mind. Then things get interesting. Nat Turner says every single sticker signing is witnessed by Leaf, ? And then Ken Golden hits him with the popcorn emoji. And I think this one here by @JVoris on the old Meme Central really kind of just really hit a special spot in me. And I think I legit laughed out loud when I see this. I think my favorite part is, and then Lesko, the internet lawyer, said some antitrust stuff, which really wasn't too relevant, but we like him. I don't know what it is. I just got a kick out of that. And this meme in particular, I've been having, I personally, not a meme guy in terms of making them, but I have been enjoying the memes that have been coming out of this image, whatever. I have no idea what this is from. But I have 100% been enjoying the sports card / hobby memes that have gotten run amok with this one. Also, and this is not something I normally touch on, but once again, this freaking cracked me up. Card porn does the whole eBay thing with bad buyers, where people email in excuses essentially to cancel orders. And this one was on a Kellen Mond RPA that someone canceled after he got released by the Vikings. There was that whole basically Kellen Mond pump and dump essentially where his stuff got really hot and then he ended up getting released. And then of course the freaking Browns signed him. But this one kind of has taken the internet by storm. This guy says his cat Lemons has emphysema, so he was researching treatment options, accidentally bid it on your card a few times by mistake, so I have to return it since I never really meant to purchase it. Thanks for understanding. And the internet, and by the internet I mostly mean card porn and Lamine James and a bunch of other people, have run with it. Someone did create a GoFundMe for Lemons the cat has emphysema. The really great part of this is the work that Lamine has done on this. He's just kind of really stepped his game up to the next level with Lemons the cat. So if you make any extra profits this week, remember, set them aside. Lemons needs our help, guys and girls. Hashtag save Lemons the cat. Let's go ahead and dig in the gem rate real quick. We did hit on this last week. We obviously did the recap of all the gem rate data on Friday's video. As you know, we've been kind of just peeking our nose in to see what 2021 Prism population reports look like across the four major grading companies to kind of gauge an idea for demand for grading. And we're pretty deep into this now. So PSA is up to basically 10,000 cards graded so far for 2021 Prism football with a 35% gem rate. SGC is still in second place. They've graded, I'm just going to round that up, we're going to call it 5,000 with about a 30% gem rate. CSG is in third place in regards to the population report at, we'll just call that 1,700, only a 23% gem rate. And then Beckett still continues to lag behind, only 613 cards with a 31% gem rate. Couple of takeaways here. A lot of people, when I've done these in the past, comment that it doesn't matter what Beckett does. It's the quality of cards that they're doing, not the number. Sure, to a point, I guess. But as a card grader company, you want cards coming in the door to be graded. And it's just not a good look when a lot of cards from one of the most popular sets is not coming through your doors. And I think it really shows that Beckett is being treated more and more as a niche grader. Autographs, RPAs, thicker cards. We've been talking about it forever, but I really think that has kind of taken on a life of its own. And that's a majority of what people are sending there. Is that good? I don't know. You know what I mean? Does Beckett... They've built out a lot of capacity. They just moved into a new office. You probably want to grade more than just some high-end cards or autographs or thicker cards. You probably want that silver prism business, for lack of a better term, to help move some inventory through and keep your guys and girls busy grading stuff, and also to get your slabs out there so people can see them. The other thing here, and I did not talk about this in the gem rate video on Friday, and I think I'm going to do a full separate breakdown on it because I need to dig into one last thing a little bit more, and that is CSG and their gem rate, 23%. Curious what you guys and girls think about that. Them and SGC have the same grading scale now. SGC is coming in at 30%. 7% is a pretty big difference when you're grading a lot of cards. PSA, just for full transparency, is at 34%. And once again, Beckett is at 31%. 34% is still not grand. 34% of all cards submitted for Prism are getting PSA 10s. And when you think, considering the fact that people are looking their cards over prior to submitting them, usually most stuff you're not going to send unless you think it can 10. So that's 34% of cards people that I think have at least a decent shot of grading well in most cases, not all. But this CSG at 23%, and when you look at the global numbers, it backs that up. Gem rate tracks all, gem rates across different submission levels. And that's kind of what I want to dig into and break down. And I want to look at CGC numbers as well. And I know early on CSG was criticized for grading a little too hard. And I'm wondering if, and I know that they tweaked it because, Andy told me that they did when I interviewed him about a month or two ago. But I wonder if they're still grading a little too tough. Like I said, I kind of want to treat this in its own separate video. We have a longer form discussion on it. But so that'll probably be out maybe sometime later this week. But the whole tough versus fair thing, I still wonder if CSG/CGC is still being a little too tough on cards. Let's go ahead and dive into Market Movers. Link in the description down below. You can get the first month for just $1. And then they have all sorts of new subscription plans depending on what fits your needs for as little as $10 a month to get all the wonderful charts and graphs that your little heart desires, depending on what you want. You can check out all the different pricing plans that they have at the link in my description box down below. First up, something we've never talked about on the channel, tennis cards. Two of the hottest moving cards of the week was this Serena Williams Net Pro. There was this number 1 base PSA 10. There's a little under 3,000 of these on the Pop Report. And obviously, if you don't know, she had her last match this past weekend. And this card over the last 14 days is up 81%. Started at $100 up to $193. And like I said, just a little under Pop 3K on that one. The other one that's done really well is same thing, 2003 Net Pro. This is called card number 2 photo card. Only popped 667 on this one, so much more rare. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and break down the differences on these things besides the image because I am way out of my depth of field. I just know the numbers went way up on them. Same thing here over the last 14 days. Started at 50 up to 150, $100 increase or 198% change. Whew! Serena stuff flying. Probably a temporary bump. We saw the same thing with Tiger Woods a couple years ago when he was in the car accident, got a big bump and then came right back down again. This is probably the same situation. If you're sitting on these stuff, personally, this feels like the ultimate they let you buy them back situation. Just move them. You could probably buy the card again back in 6 months for much less than what you sold it for this week. Last thing I want to touch on, like I said, we're just dipping our toes in the Market Movers this week, as I need to get things ready to go to the ship's show. And I missed a bunch of news this week, so I wanted to focus on catching up and commenting on a lot of that stuff that happened. Basketball. My Cleveland Cavaliers brought home the Spider, Donovan Mitchell. Super excited about this as a Cavs fan. If you want my full thoughts on it, I did about a 5 or 7 minute video the night the trade happened. You can go track that down on the old YouTube feed there, where I broke down a little bit more details on the trade and my thoughts on it. But what I was curious about is how did the cards move? So this is over the last 7 days. Rookie cards only, PSA 10 only, Garland, Mitchell, and Sexton, which to me are the 3 primary players that could potentially have some value shifted on this one. And this is sales volume / price movements by player. So it groups each player into a basket of all their cards. And I was just curious to kind of see, generally speaking, how the players have shifted. Mitchell, 15% price increase. Big volume change. 100% increase in volume. And this is just over the last 7 days. And this really just happened at the tail end of the week. So I'll be curious to see what this looks like when we look at it again in like a week. And look at like 14 days to see how much prices have swung. 15% increase is not super surprising. I think that is more on the fact that he went to, as much as I hate to say it, that he went to the Cavs. If he would have went to the Knicks, I think this is way up. But the fact that he went to the Cavs, I think has tempered or held down some of his, or tempered rather, some of his card price expectation, because Cleveland's just not a huge market like the Knicks would have been. Garland sees a little bit of a bump up in volume, 36%, only a 4% increase in price change. I actually think, in the grand scheme of things, that the Mitchell trade actually hurts Garland's numbers. And when I say numbers, I mean on-court numbers. In regards to the Cavs themselves, they're obviously going to be a much better team. But Garland having Mitchell in the backcourt with him is going to suck some of the juice out of Garland. Now, he could still be a good buy because they could make a deep playoff run, this, that, and the other thing, and Garland's still really good. But I do think this actually hurts Garland's numbers a little bit. Sexton is the interesting one. 7% increase, 23% volume change. Here's the thing. He is going to score a ton because they got nobody else. And Sexton loves to shoot. So he's going to be in heaven. The problem is, does it matter? He's going to be on one of the worst teams in the league that already people didn't care about and didn't watch when they were one of the best teams in the league. They had Mitchell and Gobert, and they were winning 50 games plus every year and making deep playoff runs, and no one cared. Now they're one of the worst teams in the league, and Colin Sexton is their air quote star, along with Lauri Markkanen and Talen Horton-Tucker. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people caring about Utah Jazz games. That being said, he's probably going to have some 40-point games. He just is. What that does for his card values, I have absolutely no idea. But Sexton is kind of an interesting, if he pops off for a big night, does his stuff spike? I don't know if the market works like that anymore. That's in football. I think it still kind of does to a degree on a week-to-week basis. But in the NBA, I'm not as sure on this one. So I think the Cavs players in general are good potential buys, as they are probably a borderline top 4 team. I think the Bucks are in a tier all by themselves. Then I think it's the Celtics. In theory, the Nets in the next tier, along with the 76ers. The Nets is the intriguing one because I don't understand that team. I don't know how it's going to work. There's way too many question marks. Kyrie's health / mental headspace. KD's health / mental headspace. Ben Simmons' mental headspace. And is he actually any good at basketball besides playing defense? A lot of question marks with the Nets. To me, I put the Cavs right after that tier. Bucks by themselves, then those 3, and then the Cavs. And I could see the Cavs sneaking into that tier. Then I think after that, you move into the next tier, which I have like the Heat, the Raptors, the Hawks, the Bulls, like that group. I put the Cavs above those teams. I just frankly think they're better right now. The Cavs are going to be really, really good on paper, and they're going to be really, really good for a while if this all works out. They have 3 All-Stars with a 4th potential All-Star in Evan Mobley. They still have Karis LeVert. They still have Kevin Love. They have Ricky Rubio when he gets back from his ACL injury. And still a lot of their other bench depth to throw round out there, and a potential another move in place. They could deal Kevin Love. He has a $30 million expiring contract and bring something in. They have an empty roster spot. There's really not much out there right now. They still could use a little bit of a wing. Right now, Isaac Okoro will probably start at 3 and be a 3 and D guy. If he could ever actually learn how to score, his stuff's dirt cheap, but I don't know that he's more of a role player than any real threat to doing anything of relevancy in the NBA besides just being a 3 and D guy. That would be his best case scenario. So I do think Mitchell is an intriguing, I'm going to go ahead and look at him guy. Same with Garland, just because the Cavs are going to be really, really good. I did FOMO into one Mitchell card. I needed one. It's a pretty cool one. It should be here on Tuesday, and I am well overdue for a mail day / pickup video. So that'll be included in that. I was going to do one for early this week, but I want to wait for that card to come in here. It won't be here till Tuesday. So that's all I have for you guys and girls. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you at the Ship Shawana show. Catch you on the next one. Not sure if there's going to be a video tomorrow. Haven't decided yet. Might take the old Labor Day off. Just depends on how much I could get recorded ahead of time, because I will be out of town. So we will catch you guys and girls maybe Monday, definitely Tuesday. Peace.